Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. This is going to be our July 2024 kit release video. Look at us. Now, I can't promise this will actually be uploaded in July, because I'm filming this the last week of July, but at least I'm filming it on time. At least it has the potential to show up in the correct month, so yay. We have a number of releases to talk about. There are 29 kits on the slate here, so we're going to plow on through this. I recorded this once, realized I had gotten a few things wrong, I'd left a few things out, so we're on recording number 2, and hopefully this will go much quicker than the last one, because the last one ended up being 2 files worth of recordings, and that's a lot for anyone to sit through, let alone you guys. So, that being said, let's hop off onto the domestic side of things, where we have kits from round 2, we have kits from Salvanos JR, and kits from Atlantis. We don't talk about Atlantis that much. They release quite a bit of stuff, but not very much of it is automotive. So, they don't get to mention a lot. So, over at round 2, you're going to have one MPC kit, 2 AMTs. The MPC kit's going to be the Ohio George Montgomery's Multi-Maverick. This kit originally tooled up back in the 1970s. It is an interesting model kit in the sense that it can, after it's built, this is apparently, I've never had this kit before. The last time this kit was out was a Hobby Heaven reissue in 2006. Prior to that, it was like an NPC kit. I believe Warhorse was the name of it in 1982. So it's been a long time since this kit's been available. So that's before I was, this kit was tooled up 7 years before I was born, was last reissued when I was 5. And then, the Hobby Heaven, I don't think that was a very large run on that. So I've never actually seen the contents of one of these things, so feel free to slay me in the comments, I guess. But the shtick of this was the real car could be an altered wheelbase or a gasser, and they could adjust the frame and the front clip of the car to be either class, and this model kit did the exact same thing. I think I've heard somewhere that the hood scoop is not the original hood scoop to this. Or maybe it is. It's hard to tell when people start talking about old model kits. Sometimes they misremember. They have no idea what they're talking about. I've never seen this originally or otherwise, so I can't tell you. But at any rate, it does interestingly come with that shtick where somehow after you build it, you can extend or retract, depending on which way it goes, the front part of the frame, as well as it looks like there's an entire separate front clip that you can build up, because it looks like there's separate front fenders in the parts trees from looking at the parts map on the back of the box that allow you to flip-flop which way you want to display the vehicle. It has pad printed drag slicks, obviously new decals. You wouldn't want to have 54-year-old decals to deal with, so obviously new decals. And it's kind of an interesting piece, I guess. Not something that's been run a lot, so the tooling should be in pretty decent shape, even with its age. Although MPC, I'll keep that in mind. Over at AMT, you're going to reissue of the 1992 Ford F-150 flare side. Now, if you bought a Ford Lightning, the AMT kit, and you got that little short tailgate in it that was not the right tailgate for the Lightning, that's because it goes to this. When this kit was last run in its short wheelbase form, before the Lightning was reissued a few years ago, it was done as the flare side. And so it looks like when they racked the tool in China, they had put the Lightning bed into it, the short bed, and they did not check the parts runner that had the tailgate part in it, and that's how you wound up with a oopsie-daisy with that. Now, if you bought a Lightning after that was discovered, you probably don't actually have the short tailgate. If you bought one that was fixed, then you got the tailgate in like a little plastic baggie on top of the kit, and you still have the short tailgate. At any rate, if you have the Lightning, you know what this kit basically is. It's just a flare side bed of that short wheelbase version. Now, there's a longer wheelbase F-150 kit as well, which is why I'm referring to this as a short wheelbase, because there are 2 different chassis to them. And early 90s annual kit, pretty decent. Promo, then turned into a full detail kit like so many of the things were in the late 80s and early 90s. The other kit you're going to get out of round 2 this month, also under the AMT label, is the 1971 Dodge Charger. So you think to yourself, Dodge Charger, that's been run around a little bit. Didn't they just release that not too terribly long ago? It's been a little bit longer than not too terribly long ago, but yeah, it not too terribly long ago it was reissued. But what's different with this kit is, if I can find the if I can find the box so to tell you, because I want to make sure I get this right this time. This has a bunch of parts added from the Street Machine kit. Like a lot of Mueller era kits, this was done in two different versions. There was a factory stock version, which is what you've been getting most of the time that this kit has been reissued since it was originally done. And there was also a Street Machine release, which had some really horrifically period 90s wheels in it, which mercifully aren't included in this kit. But it also came with an air grabber hood, a Stage 5 Hemi, and a different set of exhaust tips for the dual exhaust. Those pieces have been taken from the Street Machine kit and added to the factory stock kit, and so you get this kind of unique, didn't previously exist version of the 71 Dodge Charger. The only way you could get the Stage 5 Hemi and the hood scoop and the air grabber hood and those trumpet exhaust, or there's a specific name for it, but I don't remember if it's on the box or not. I don't think it is. But those specific exhaust tips was to buy the Street Machine kit and then kit bash it into the factory stock kit. Now, you don't have to worry about doing that because it's all in this one box. It was enough, as far as I'm concerned, to sell my original 71 and pick this one up instead. So, that is out there should you be so inclined to purchase it. Over at Salvinas JR, there are 4 releases for the month of July. First up on the vintage kit side of things, the kit of the month, so to speak, is a J.D. Stacy Racing Neil Bonnet driven 1977 Dodge Charger. This was J.D. Stacy, it's on here as being Jim Stacy Racing, but J.D. Stacy Racing's first race after he purchased the team, and it was also the last win for that body style Charger, the 74 to 77 Charger. I believe this was also the last race of the 77 season that it won in this livery. Very basic decal sheet here. It's just some letters and some numbers. So a real throwback to the limited edition style decals, or what probably been a hand painted graphics back in those days. But it is historically significant in the fact that it is the last victory of the big body Charger. Over in the next gen kits, more Camaros, because of course we don't have any Mustangs or Camrys to make. First up, you get William Byron's Martinsville winner, so it's sort of the inverse of the 24 hours of Daytona. No, it's not quite that long a race. It's only 500 miles. The Daytona 500 winner that they did earlier this year. That car was white with flames. This one's black with flames. But it's sort of a mirror image of itself, right? The flames are a slightly different color, orange and red, than the sort of day glow orange that the flames were on the white car. But yeah, same sort of basic livery, but it is a winning car. And the other one is a Chase Elliott car. This is a throwback from the Darlington weekend. This, of course, refers back to an old Dale Jr. livery that he ran. So kind of an interesting decal sheet in the sense that the numbers are gold leaf, and they represented that pretty well with the new decal sheet. Talking to somebody a few days ago saying, if this had been done back in the day, back like in Monograms days in the 80s, 90s, that would have been like a dot matrixy, like brown and beige kind of thing when you got the decal sheet. This one's actually, it's not quite gold foil, but it's definitely metallic gold in a gold leaf kind of thing. It's very interesting to see what decal technology is like in 2024. And yeah, I mean, if you don't mind building another Camaro, it's an interesting option. And then lastly, in the IndyCar series, the 1/20th scale kits that they're doing, the first one after the initial batch of 4 is going to be Pato O'Ward's car. Pato finished in second place at the Daytona 5 or the Indy 500, and that represents what you see in this box art. It is an Aero McLaren car. Funny to have a McLaren powered by Chevrolet, but that is what the spec cars in Indy are right now. You can only get a Honda or a Chevy engine, and McLaren went with Chevy. So he is got a lot of press out of finishing second. I believe that's 2 years in a row he's finished second now, and while I'm sure he appreciates the attention, rising star in IndyCar, he much would have rather won either one or both of the races. But be that as it may, that's an option out there for you. It does appear, from everything I've heard, that the only way to get the Indy cars is to buy them off Salvino JR directly. They have allegedly not sold them to anywhere else. Now, I know Mike's Decals, the Power Slide guy, he sells the kits as well. So I'm not sure exactly how limited exactly the range of who's selling these kits. I think Wes's Model Car Corner might sell them as well, but they're not being sold like widespread distribution to hobby shops, which really pissed off my local hobby shop. So, you know, be aware of what you're supporting, I guess, with that, because that's kind of a little slap in the face to, you know, hobby shops that have been supporting Salvino's JR for 5 years with all of these stupid Camaros, and then you're basically told the new toolkit that a lot of people wanted, nope, you can't have that. So it's kind of a little bit of a DB move, if you will. Over at Atlantis, next of the Keeler's Customs kits that was being billed here is the Kent Fuller Dragster. Now what this is a parts pack kit. Back in 1963, there was a double kit called the Scarlet Screamer, and it had the Bantam altered wheelbase Roadster with it. This is only going to be the top half of the double box, right? It's just the Scarlet Screamer. The Keeler's Customs kits do come with 2 parts packs engines, so you get the one that's supposed to come with the car, and then there's a spare one. I'm not exactly sure which engine they put in here with it. The literature on this has been mighty slim pickings. But it does come with engine wiring. It does come with some tubing for what I'm assuming would be fuel lines, because you obviously don't have a radiator in this to make radiator lines. But, you know, if you're interested in these, you know, understand 1960s tooling from the parts packs, so it's a lot of making it fit. The Moon Eyes was also one of those dragsters that was released last year that's also a parts pack dragster. There's a bunch more of these Keeler's Customs kits to come in the future. So, you know, keep your eyes peeled for those. They've been very, very slow rollout. These were advertised back in the Nats in Vegas 4 years ago, and this is just the second one of them. So they're certainly taking their time in getting them out to market, but be that as it may, that's out there for you if you're so inclined in purchasing it. That will drop us over to Europe for a quick stop. Well, you thought I was going to say Japan, but no. ICM has released their brand new, 100% brand new. These molds are not shared with anybody, and I know it's 1/24 scale, so that might annoy some people. But this is what they're calling 1930s Model A standard Phaeton soft top. So, something to keep in mind with ICM kits, if you're not familiar with them, is they always, in things that have a convertible type of top, they always release 2 kits. One has an up top and one has a convertible boot, and the open top, if you will, car does not include the up top. So if you want a top on the car, you have to buy this version of it. There will be another one coming in a couple of months, maybe less than that is an open top. So if you don't want a top, you have to buy that one. Keep in mind what you're keep that in mind so that you don't get reveled. If anybody remembers the 62 Corvette when that came out, the 62 Corvette factory stock kit doesn't have a hard top, but the 62 Gasser did have a hard top, and I never quite understood why that had to be separated that way. I don't want a Gasser, I just want the hard top, but, you know, it is what it is. Looks like a pretty decent kit. Some discussion online about the fact that the running boards appear to be more of a truck running board as far as the Model A goes, which would have been more in line with the Russian version of this, because there was a Gaz branded Model A that was done in Russia at the time. Remember, it's 1930s. It's in between wars, and so the rubber tread plate may not be correct. I don't know nearly enough about these cars to know or really particularly care. I saw this in person at the IPMS Nationals last weekend. It looks like a very, very nice kit, very well detailed. But again, I don't know enough about the car personally to know if it's accurate or not, but it certainly is a very nice looking built up kit when it's done. So if you're so inclined, that's available for you. Now, we will go overseas to the land of Japan. So over at Aoshima, you're going to get basically 2 releases. One release has 3 different versions, but 2 releases this month. First up, you get another version of the Liberty Walk Lamborghini Murcielago. This one has a slightly different front splitter front bumper orientation and has a different spoiler on the back than the first kit. The first kit was a white car on the box art, had a much larger GT3 style spoiler. This shorter one's much more like a GT1 style spoiler, which probably doesn't mean anything to half the people watching, to help 90% of the people watching, but for the people who know what I'm talking about, fist bump. Anyway, this is molded in this sort of real weird lime green metallic color. Looking at it, when you just glance at it, you think it's gold, but it's actually, like I said, sort of a yellow-green metallic. Looking at the instructions for this, they suggest you paint it in a combination of 1 part silver, 4 parts clear yellow, 1 part clear green. So that should give you a little bit of an idea, if you can mix paint in your head, what this color is trying to be. It is molded in something representative of this color, because that is the shtick of these Liberty Walk kits. They're glue kits, but they're very basic. They have stickers, they have regular decals. They're molded in color as far as the chassis and the interior and I don't know, I believe this one has an engine showing through at all. The back deck on this, I don't think it has a glass to it, but at any rate, like it's designed to be built without painting it. That was the idea here. These were the original sort of step-up kits from the 1/32 scale Snap-Tight line, but you can, of course, paint them. There's a whole color chart in the back of the instruction manual. If you have any of these Liberty Walk kits and you look through them and they all give you all the decal marks for like the press and stickers, and they don't tell you how to paint anything, yeah, go all the way to the back of the manual, the back like 3 pages. That's the glue instructions, the glue painting, the decal placement for the actual water slide decals. If you're not familiar, it's a pretty big book. And if you don't look the whole way through it, you wouldn't really notice it. So that's out there. And then the other kit that is released, and this is a brand new tool. This is the really adding a stepping stone in the Aoshima product line. So there was the 1/32 scale Snap-Tight kits. Those were going to be running like 10, 11 bucks, up to 15. Now, this new line is coming in. It's called the Snap Car. Snap Kit, 1/32 scale. Snap Car, 1/24 scale. So this is a 1971 Nissan Skyline 2000 GTR, the venerable first-gen GTR. And this has probably, I would say, double the parts count of the Snap-Tight Snap Kit 32nd scale kits. The 32nd scale kits have just like a flat chassis plate with no detail on them. Metal axles. They're a lot like the build and play kits that Revell did, only slightly more detailed. This has chassis detail, has a separate exhaust, basically end of the exhaust system, right? It's got the muffler and the exhaust tips. It has brakes. It has clear headlights, clear taillights, clear turn signals, glass. The rear fenders and the front fender mirrors are molded separately in black so that you can put those on without having to paint it. Obviously, another thing where it's going to be highly polished plastic, and you don't have to paint the kit. It does come with water slide decals as well as the Mylar stickers, and this is being released in 3 different colors. The red one's been on the screen, and then we also have a white one and a silver one. So those are the 3 colors that a GTR came in the first gen GTR. So yeah, those are the 3 color options you get. And if you have a kid who's into modeling a little bit on the fringes, this is a car that's very, very famous in like Gran Turismo and Forza and all those other car racing games for Xbox and for PlayStation. So this might be a car that your child or grandchild or niece or nephew or whoever might recognize and be interested in. They're not going to be interested in a lot of vintage cars. Unfortunately, it breaks your 50, 60-year-old heart to hear that. But this is something that, because it's in the games and has been pretty much since they started, that they might recognize and be interested in doing. Maybe not, but it is certainly an option. Over at Fujimi. Oh, all right, here we go with Fujimi stuff. Hold your hats, we're going to try to be positive. First up, 7th generation Skyline GTS. So this is an R31 Nissan Skyline. This has, of course, we talked about it last month, that uber basic universal chassis that's shared with a whole plethora of other kits. So know that going in. This is basically the same kit as that race car, only without the decals included in it. And the addition of some metal foil for the over fenders and the chewing gum whale bottom thing that you cut to fit the bottom of the door panels, because this is high society. It's a mediocre kit. If you want an R31 GTS, go buy the Hasegawa kit again, because they made street versions of it. There's really no reason to buy this kit unless you want them spiffy wheels that are in the box art there. At least these ones come in the kit, so they're not lying about that this time. Next up, in the same high society thing, you have the Supra 3.0 GT. This is the same chassis that's in that Skyline. How that's possible? Those cars are two different wheelbases. But hey, that's the great thing about Fujimi kits from the 1980s. Wheelbases, dimensions, widths, lengths, they mean nothing. That's why all those kits are so funny looking. At any rate, this is like supposed to be an 85 to 87 Supra. It has a slightly different front end on it than the Hasegawa kits do, which are 88 to 90s. And basically the only other way to get an early version of the Supra like this is to go buy the Tamiya kit, which is, not spectacular in its own right, being a very early Tamiya kit, although I would argue it's slightly better than this. This, however, is like $14, and I'm not sure that you can find a Tamiya kit for $14 because that was a limited run of the third gen Supra that they did, and I don't think you can get them anymore just by buying them at a hobby shop, unless your hobby shop's really well stocked and there's one laying around. This, again, a high society car, so it's got chrome for the rear fender, the front fender, too shallow, and it has that whale bottom chewing gum nonsense you cut to the door. It does have left-hand drive, which is something the Hasegawa kits don't have, and again, it is a separate year than the Hasegawa kits, so technically they represent different years, so there's enough difference there to kind of justify it, maybe kind of, sort of. Just understand, very basic kit with a really bad suspension and chassis and everything else going on along with it. Next up on the Toyota train here, we have a Toyota MR2 AW11 with a whole bunch of stuff tacked onto it here. Mercifully, all the crap on this box art is separate. There's an MR2 underneath there somewhere. You don't have to put on all the IMSA Cafe Racer thing, that double tier rear spoiler and the over the roof intake and all that sort of stuff. Otherwise, it's a pretty basic kit. There is an engine insert cup thing because obviously MR2 is a mid-engine car, so the engine compartment that you can get into is right behind the rear window. And I've seen a few people in a couple of 3 months say, in talking about older kits, say they really wish they had the Revell Toyota MR2 kit, because that was a kit that came out in the late 80s on the Road and Track series, as you see on the screen right now, the high performance import kits. This is the Fujimi kit, by the way. If you ever wondered, this is the Fujimi kit. This kit has different wheels, has BBSs rather than whatever the things are on that Fujimi box art. But if you look at them and you're like, no, James, that has a much more roundy round front end to it. Yeah, the roundy round front end is in the Fujimi kit, just for whatever reason they chose to use that very angular front end on it instead. But those parts are in there. These two kits are the same. So if you've ever wanted a Revell Toyota MR2, now you can buy one for like $13 from Fujimi. Also, we have the Toyota Crown Majesta UZS 155. That's a generation chassis number there. The rest of that's about the engine, but it doesn't mean anything, obviously, because this is a curbside. This was tooled up in like 2000 or so. It's slightly older than the various Aoshima Crown Majestas that were done in the mid-2000s. It's a pretty decent kit. I actually have one of the original releases of this. It comes with the BBSs shown in the box art, as well as just factory stock Crown Majesta wheels. So that's kind of cool if you're into, like, what I'm into, which is sedans of Toyota types, which I realize is probably something that nobody else is into but me, but, it is what it is. But this kit has not been available in 24 years, so if you happen to want one of these for whatever reason, now's your chance to grab it. And it's a pretty decent kit, again, tooled in the 2000-ish era, so, pretty modern tooling, not a total suck job. So there's that. Things that are less than not a total suck job would be this Tyson Skyline, the 1993 Japanese Touring Car Championship STP car. Now, even though this has the new easy alignment system chassis underneath of it, which actually makes this an all-wheel drive car for the first time, because the previous versions of this R32 Skyline race cars and the street cars had a generic Nissan chassis underneath of them, the one underneath their non-GTR Skylines, which meant it was rear-wheel drive. which meant that every chassis underneath of an R32, R33 Skyline that was done prior to the beginning of this year has the wrong chassis underneath of it. This is slightly better, I guess. Overall, the kit's not bad, but it's not as good as the Hasegawa kit. Hasegawa did this exact same car about 10 months ago, so if you really want this, go buy the Hasegawa one. This has a set of wheels in it that are kind of ish, but not actual the SSR rims that this car needs. Also, it doesn't have the right set of mirrors in it, so yeah, I can't recommend this one. An actual real one that has the right mirrors and the right wheels exists elsewhere. And then lastly from Fujimi is another version of their Suzuki Jimny. This is a JB64, the base model Jimny. The Land Venture is the other one that they've done, where it has like the hood scoop and stuff like that. This one, base model, this is molded in yellow. That's the whole shtick with these. These are Fujimi's version of the you don't have to paint it, you can just build it thing. The only difference with Fujimi's ones are that most of them come with only the Mylar stickers. There's only a few, well, usually only one that's molded in white, that's not molded in a color, that comes with actual sheet of decals included in it, because I guess they presume correctly, because I bought all white ones, that, you know, if you're going to buy a white one, you're going to paint it the color you want it rather than getting it molded in color. So it's out there if you're interested in it. It's, you know, it is what it is. Nothing great, nothing but terrible. Snap tight kit. And there will be a Jimny coming out of Aoshima in the Snap Kit line, or Snap Car line. But again, that's a Snap Tight Kit too. So yeah, it's sort of a carbon copy duplicate kind of thing. Over at Hasegawa, we got a bunch of the remaining kits from the Shizuoka Hobby Show. Some of these are pretty basic reissues, and a couple of them are parts added kind of thing. Basic reissue decals here. Mini Cooper S, Countryman, all four. Blackjack. So the Blackjack here references the fact that the flag on the roof and all of the other decals are monochromatic in black and white, or actually basically shades of gray and white. This is more 50 Shades of Gray than it is Blackjack. Obviously, the Union Jack being monochromatic makes it the Blackjack for some reason. I'm guessing because the car is black, so the base of the flag is black, so that's the shtick. Anyway, this kit's been around since 2004. Every single one of them are identical. They just have different decal schemes to them, and that's all that's different with this one. They also are really issuing their Isuzu 117 Coupe. Right, it's got the tilde over the E. It's a coupe, not a coupe. Coupe late version with a cool beauty girl's figure. Apostrophes are important. That would not be the fact that this has a cool beauty girl figure included. That would be something about the cool beauty girl's personal figure. Like, she feels she's not appropriately dressed in this image. The figure is resin, 3D print, and it is molded, printed, however you want to say that, in the pose you see on the box art. She is sashaying towards you carrying a handbag. So, for people who like figures that can be posed in different poses or whatnot, yeah, that ain't this. So, know that going in. The Isuzu 117 is the same kit that it's been since they released the late version of it probably 10, 12 months ago. So, you know, if you don't have one and you want a cool girl's very concerned about the size of her heels figure going on, then, you know, Resin Girl all the things, plus it's, you know, a great way to get a kit with a, you know, value added thing thrown in, I guess. Then you have a reissue of the Isuzu Bellet 1600 GT 1966. So previously the 1600 GT came out in this version right here. This is the 1969 version. Now, like a good civil service exam, I'm going to have you look at this box, study it for 5 seconds, and then we're going to talk about the other one. Right, so dual headlights, got some steelies, right? We're all there. Sure, great. Now, all right, back to this. So singular headlights. This has a new front clip insert. Right, it's not a whole new front clip, but a new front clip insert to support the single headlight. It's got new bumpers, it's got new wheels. Obviously, it's got some new interior pieces, and because obviously the upholstery pattern in 1966 is going to be different than 1969. The rear end treatment on the car is also different, so new rear end, new rear bumper and stuff like that. About 15 new pieces included here to backdate it. At this point, Hasegawa will have done 3 of the 4 versions of the way that you could build the Fujimi Isuzu Bellets, so they need to do a 1800 GTR in this single headlight format, and then they'll have covered all 4 of those bases. So hopefully that'll be coming out sometime maybe later this year or next year. As I actually at one point had 4 Fujimi Isuzu bellets, so I could build one each way, and now Hasegawa's come out with this fantastically better version of it, and they need to make one more. Over in the rally side of things, we got the Subaru Impreza WRC 2005-2006 Swedish Rally. I know that's a mouthful, but it's basically the 2005 spec car running in 2006. I don't believe this man's name is Solo Wow, because that's what the name on the car says, right? It's Polish, so it probably has a Polish pronunciation. Please don't correct me. I'm making a joke there with the Solo Wow. Anyway, this guy owns Cerzinat here, which is one of Europe's largest tile flooring companies, and I guess flooring in general, but they got their start making tile floors, or flooring tile, I guess would be the better way to put that. And if you are the owner of a multi-European company, conglomerate flooring that makes billions of dollars, you get to race your own rally car. So this is kind of the epitome, uniquely, of an independent rally car in the mid-2000s, which is something that really doesn't technically exist anymore. This car was awful as far as the rally finish. It was 30th or something like that. It's bad, but it's unique. Also going in that this kit does not come with snow rims and snow tires. You look at the picture on the box right there, the snow tires look like motorcycle tires. They're so skinny. You ain't getting those, so you're going to have to find them somewhere, print them from someplace if you care enough to fix that problem, but no, that's not a thing. As Hasegawa tends to do, they're not actually going to give you the parts you need to build the kit on the box. Something that does have parts of the kit on the box added to it is this Unisia Jex Skyline, also from the 1993 Japanese Touring Car Championship Series. This is a semi-motorsports car. This has new mirrors added to it. So, with these mirrors and all of the various wheel and tire combinations that they've done, and all the other mirror combinations that they've done, I now believe that you can build any R32 Skyline from 1990 through 1993 seasons, because some of those cars had BBS rims, some of them had SSR rims, some of them had this rim, that rim, the other rim, some of them had cup mirrors, some of them had sport mirrors, some of them had regular GTR mirrors. So it's going to really be a base decision on your wheels, because there are multiple mirrors in some of these kits. You get 2 different mirrors and 2 different mirror faces, but the rims are only going to be whatever rims are shown on the box art. So that'll be your decision as to which one of the ones you buy, and then from there you kind of need to know which mirrors come in which kit in order to know if you need to print some mirrors or you have the mirrors you need in the box. So, studying the maps on Hobby Search or having enough of these to know which mirrors come with which car, obviously very helpful. This decal sheet is just the words. There's no, and it looks like orange, but it's red in real life. No red on this decal sheet whatsoever. So that makes that big U-turn mask on the front of the hood kind of an interesting proposition, because that's way, way too big for a circle cutter to make a circle for. So that, making it equidistant on both sides and making the curve, a curve and not a blob and then a real sharp corner and stuff like that, should be interesting. The only sort of sweet mercy to that is the fact that the hood is separate. So at least you can mask it off and paint it without it being on the car if you so desired. And you can, tweak that mask a little bit to get it to be hopefully as good as you can make it. That jaunty sort of slash on the back, the front bumper white over the orange, all of that stuff is not included either, so you're going to be masking a lot of this car to get it done. Over to Group C Racing, Sard Kits Toyota 92 CV 1992 Le Mans. So this is a 24-hour Le Mans car. This one, decal-wise, has the little red spats underneath the headlights. Otherwise, you're tri-toning, technically, because it's blue, 2 shades of blue. Well, I say 1 shade of blue and 3 spaces, 2 sides in the middle, because the whole center pod is blue. And then, mercifully, I guess, the red is there, so you don't have to mask off those little parts, I guess. Anyway, the Le Mans car required a whole new body, because the kit, as it was tooled up, the 91, 92 CVs, had Japanese sports car prototype series bodies, which was a sprint style body rather than an endurance style body. So this has a new body, whole new body included. It's just the easiest way to go about, redoing it with the way this kit is tooled up to begin with. So you get all of the accoutrement to the body, right? New headlights, new headlight bezels, new canards, new mirrors, new rear spoiler, and of course, like the body itself is also new. It is a bit of a masking job because, again, that blue comes up over top of the fenders, but not a lot of it, and then the whole middle part is blue as well. This is not a multi-piece body the way the Nissan 9192 CV is, so this one will take a little bit more, patience to get down, but if you're good with masking, you're good with masking. The rear spoiler's multi-piece, so that makes that easier to paint. It's just going to be trying to make, again, those side blue parts that come over the fenders, make them equidistant to both sides, right? Make sure that stripe's the same width going down both sides of the car. And, basically mask it off, take some pictures and see what it looks like, because, your eye will focus on things and three-dimensionally make things look right, and then you take a picture of it and you're like, ooh, that's completely and totally not even at all. So that, some, calipers, something like that. I mean, if you make whatever size you make it on one side, make sure the other side's the same size, so at least it's the same distance. It may not be correct, but at least it's the same distance. My advice there. All right, so that'll take us into the home stretch here, ladies and germs. Meng, company we don't talk about a whole heck of a lot, right? Meng, because really, well, they do a whole lot of military stuff, not a whole lot of car stuff. They're now in a contract with Absolute Racing, which is a Hong Kong-based race team that races mostly Asia. They do have, I believe this year they have a car in Europe GT, or the Phonetic World Challenge Europe. And I believe they also ran a car at Spa. They ran a car, so that's in the International Touring Car Championship. Yeah, they're a bunch of different series. These two cars I'm going to show you next are actually running in Chinese Super Touring, I think it's called. There's a name to it, and it's slipping my mind right now. It's an Chinese National Endurance Series. So they race only racetracks in China, but it is longer distance racing, like 3 to 6 hours. And they are sponsoring the two team cars here. So Meng sponsoring this car, the red and black car, right? It's got literally Meng model all over it. And the other car is the Be Quick car, which is an orange and black car. Looks kind of yellowy on the box art. That kind of makes me frightful for the decals, because who at the race team approved the decals being the wrong color? But hopefully it'll be orange. It's really like orange in real life. So if they're the wrong color, it's going to be pretty obvious. This Be Quick car is actually doing very, very well in the series. There's quite a lot of interesting liveries that have been done over the years that like would fit the R8, would fit the M6, would fit the AMG GT3, and things of that nature, but tends to be shied away from because, evil China and stuff like that. And let's face it, the two big decal producers right now, SK and LB Productions, are Hong Kong based, and Hong Kong probably not feeling the most friendly towards China mainland. So there's that. But at any rate, like I said, the number 26 car is doing pretty well in the series. Number 27 is sort of like the undercard, if you will, team car. So these will have the correct rear spoiler, right? These are 2023 cars. Actually, no, I should take that back. They're 2024 cars. And so they've got the flipped over swan neck spoilers compared to the first two versions of this kit that came out that were like 2019 cars. Be interested to see if they've replaced the headlights, because the headlights on the Evo 2s are technically LEDs and they're not the same as they were in the Evo or the original car. Something that Nunu didn't fix when they put out their Evo 2. They didn't change the headlights. So yeah, I'm interested to see what these end up looking like. I've got both of these kits already on the way over here, and I'm looking forward to seeing what we get parts content wise. They've put a big push into the fact that the spoiler's fixed, which is important, but like that's sort of the most obvious thing that need to be fixed. And then lastly, we have over at under the BMAX name, so bringing that name back to the forefront, this BMW 320 E36 from the 1996 British Touring Car Championship, the Brands Hatch winner for that specific race. This will give you, I believe, all 3 team cars that ran at Brands Hatch. This one that you see on the box art is the actual winning car. And I'm very also interested, and this is also on the way over here, to see what this is. Now, Hasegawa made one of these in 1994, and their car is perma-locked for some reason in the 1994 racing configuration, which didn't have any kind of front arrow, side arrow, rear arrow, or a spoiler. For whatever reason, they've never gone back, and I don't understand why, because the Hasegawa kit's front bumper is separate. So putting the front arrow on is really a matter of just tooling a new bumper up. The side skirts you could put on over the existing side skirts, and adding a spoiler, holy crap, how hard is that? And you'd have this new car. 95, 96, 97, 98, pretty much the years that these cars ran a lot. They did a little bit after that. Technically speaking, the replacement car didn't come in until 2000, which is the E46 racing version, which at this point, New BMAX has done the 2001, 2002 to 2004 version of that, and then they've released again another 320 E46, which was this one, the 2004 kit that came with all of the bigger body work on the side. And you know, this is sort of the gap car that ran between the M3 and the E46. That's how production cars work, right? I'm just interested to see what this ends up looking like, because this should be a nearly 100% new tool. Because Hasegawa obviously didn't sell them a tooling. They would never be able to make their own model at that point. And I'm very interested to see what this is. Because there's been like nothing about this. This was just sort of shown and like, hey, this will be cool. And this was something that was on a catalog from a long time ago of future projects. And it was sort of never mentioned. Then all of a sudden it was like, hey, that's coming out this year. And then it was like, oh, it's going to come out in the first half of the year, because technically it's the end of July, it's the first half of the year. Your mileage may vary on your ability to get one of these, but they are available in Hong Kong to order. Like I said, I have one on the way, so they're clearly out. And there is a separate PE set with this, like there have been with every BMAX and New kit that's been done. It does include some carbon, just a little sheet of it. It's only like 6 pieces, but it does include a little bit of carbon fiber for the interior. And I'm just dying to see what the contents of this kit are, and to compare them to that older Hasegawa kit, because there needs to be a couple more versions of this with some slight tweaks to that aero package. The spoiler changes year to year. The front lip spoiler and the side skirts are a little different year to year. 1995, this car won the Japanese Touring Car Championship. Won the actual championship with Steve Soper driving it, which has been a huge missing gap for some reason. I never understood why Hasegawa didn't update the kit and make that car, being as historically significant of Japanese racing as it is. And then 97 had a slightly different set of spoilers and things like that. 98 had a slightly different set of spoilers and things like that. So I'm interested to see what this is and how it compares, and then what's going to come out of it next. I always love getting, these kits when they're brand new, to see what spare parts there are, to see what other things will be coming down the line, because you never tool something for one release. So that, guys, wraps this one up. Got a little chatty there at the end, but I'm kind of excited to see what that one is. And yeah, those are your kits for July. We'll see you guys on the next one.